So we are here with Javier Gonzalez, and we have a few questions about him, about how he sees the city of Santa Fe moving forward. I'm going to start with a couple questions. And the first I have is many politicians have been in charge for decades, and still New Mexico ranks at the bottom on almost every list. What will you do about the widening gap between the rich and poor in Santa Fe, between people who are educated and people who are looking to get new skills and create opportunities for themselves? And what list will you raise us up a few notches so we are not at the bottom?
Well, there's a lot in that question, and so if I don't answer it completely, definitely want you to come back and ask some of the parts that I didn't answer. Let's just look at what's happening right now in the Santa Fe economy. We know that 33% of our children in our community are living consistently hungry, and that it's unconscionable that in 2013 that there are children in our community and certainly throughout the state and throughout the country that are persistently hungry. And we have to acknowledge that exists now. We have an environment in Washington where the Republican Congress wants to reduce the amount of food stamps aid by over $4 billion, and that's going to have a direct impact in our community. We just went through a very severe recession, and during that recession, the middle class in Santa Fe collapsed. And so consequently what we had is that a lot of people either lost their jobs or they're working harder and harder for less wages. And we know that wages have stayed stagnant. We know that the tourism economy has shrunk here, the construction industry has shrunk, as well as government. And what that's meant is that more and more of the burden of government services has been put on the middle and the working class here in Santa Fe. Tonight, and on any given evening, 1,100 of our youth are going to be without homes. They're homeless.
And that is true. There are around 1,100 homeless students in the Santa Fe Public Schools. These are kids that there are some services. The nonprofit community does step up and provide some service, but they can't take the place of families. They can't take the place of being in a stable house or in a stable home environment. So I do think that's very important.
Well, I think the harsh reality is that not only do we have children that are hungry, we have teens that are without homes. We also have many elderly
adults that are hungry.
And many elderly people in our community who, again, have been on a fixed income and seen the cost of living go up. And so we have a real dire need in our community to address some of the poverty issues that are facing it. And specifically, here's what I'd like to do in doing that. What I love about Santa Fe so much is that there's so many nonprofits that have been set up to help those who are less fortunate and in need. What the city needs to do is be a collaborator, be that vehicle that brings multiple nonprofits together so that we can focus our priorities and leverage the resources to achieve things like lowering the amount of children in our community that are hungry, being able to create transitionary housing for many of our homeless kids, and making sure that our elderly are given the food and the supplies that they need. It's primarily why I'm opposed to a food tax as a way to generate revenues here in Santa Fe. Second, the city needs to partner with the school districts in making sure that the kids that are falling through the cracks are given a real opportunity to succeed in education. Specifically, here's what I would do. I'd focus on developing a 0 to 5 early childhood education program. The data has shown us over and over, if we're able to work with parents and we're able to provide high quality teaching to kids even from the 0 to 13 month of age, the 13 to 3 and the 3 to 5, that those kids stand a very good chance of completing college or completing high school.
How would something like that be different from like a federal Head Start program?
Well, I think it wouldn't be different. It would broaden and expand it to allow for every child in our community to go into a 0 to 5 program, where similar to what we have today over at the Aspen Community School, where that's throughout the city, and where we have again high quality teachers that are working, that are highly paid, that are working to take care of our kids. Not only take care, but to provide the necessary skill sets so that by the time the kids come into kindergarten, they're set and they're ready to succeed. Why is that important? Let's just look at the data that exists today. 76% of the kids in 4th grade level are not reading at a proficient level. 78% of 8th graders are not performing math at a proficient level. that means that these kids, as they go up through the ranks, are going to be ill-equipped to one, either get a high school education, and two, to enter into the workforce. What we have to make sure if we want to combat poverty is that we're able to, one, have a very strong social service program that creates a safety nets for many people who are vulnerable. Two, have an education system that's partnered with the city so that we do the 0 to 5 early childhood education program, so that we're able to use our schools as after-school places where skill sets can be developed, so that our summer programs are programs that teach kids the basics on leadership and how to study and to get ready to graduate from high school. Those are places that the city can actually help to assure a positive education opportunity. The third area is that we have to work with many of the adults in our community who right now can't find jobs.
Yes.
And a lot of the reason they can't find jobs is we don't have the jobs in our town, or
That's
they
very
don't have
true.
the skill set. And so specifically the city can do things like expanding our tourism economy to make sure that we see that investment come in and through that whole hospitality industry see it grow.